I've got another money maker for you today, and like most of you, I've been at Next today and it brought back a lot of memories. Masses of people are bypassing all mechanics and killing her in less than a minute. In fact, one kill we did completely bypass phase 5 because she died in phase 4 before she could call out for a minion to help her. But after a while, whilst everyone was in the boss room, I decided to test out some new money makers and look at some new items in case I wanted to invest in them. And what I found is probably the worst items ever released. So looking at the drops of Blood Reavers, Spiritual Mages, Warriors and Rangers, they all have a pretty decent drop table. The chance of obtaining one of the ancient items is 1 in 128, and they are worth between a few 100,000 and a mil each. The shards are also a 1 in 128, which are worth around 20k each now, and you can get 2 to 7 each time. Finally, there is a Blood Essence, which is a 1 in 128 drop and priced at 2 million GP, but currently selling for around 500,000 on the GE, but I will get to that item later on. So for this method, you don't have to have amazing stats. All you're going to need is at least 70 strength, 70 agility, 70 hit points and 70 range to be able to access it, as well as at least 43 prayer, as well as the Troll Stronghold quest complete in order to access God Wars Dungeon. So I decided to test how many of these you can kill per hour to gauge how good of a money maker it is just being in this room alone. I took a decent melee setup, an ancient item so that nothing will be aggressive to me whilst in here, some combat and prayer potions. The things in the dungeon are much higher level but are very weak to certain combat styles. In fact, this is probably the only place where the combat triangle actually works pretty well. Even though their level is pretty high, the Reavers are weak to stab so they die fairly quickly. You can also AFK this by getting aggro on a bunch of them and leaving auto retaliate on. On a second account, you could simply use prayer bonus items and attack a ton of them, then AFK for a few minutes at a time. Just be careful as you can't do that with the mages as they disable your prayers. 42 kills in, and that is my first item, the Ancient Ceremonial Mask. These items aren't on RuneLite yet, so don't show the price, but I'll show you what they're worth at the end. Only 65 kills on the second item, which is the Robe Skirt. This is the great thing about these, there are so many drops on the drop table, you're always going to get a good few items. And there is the Blood Essence, 1 in 128 on kill 102. I also got another mask before, so 4 items in just over 100 kills, as well as some small drops too. As you be doing this, you're also going to get your kill count up at the same time, so you can go through the door to the east and use the bank here anytime you need to. If you can find them, that is. Just come up to the end of the hour and I've gotten 5 ceremonial pieces, 5 shards and a Blood Essence as well, plus 500,000 worth of normal root as you can see in the tracker, although about half of this you probably won't pick up. The tracker doesn't include the new items yet, so I sold the shards for 94k and left the robes in for just under the GE price. The robes sold after a while for a total of just under 2.3 million, altogether with the other loot that I picked up and the shards I sold, that gave me around 2.7 mil, but I still had the Blood Essence as well, an item Jagex put a value of 2 million GP on. So 4.7 million GP per hour would be an amazing return on a semi-AFK moneymaker whilst training combat at the same time, apart from 2 pretty big problems. The first one is that the Blood Essence gives you a 50% chance to craft an extra blood rune when rune crafting and will create 1000 more bloods before it runs out. They also said you don't get more XP when using it, so a friend kindly tested it for me and sure enough, you don't. So using a Blood Essence has one purpose, and after a few hours you will essentially get 1000 extra blood runes for free, or should I say, for the cost of the Blood Essence. So 1000 blood runes is currently worth 330,000 GP, and the price of the item that gives you them, they priced at 2 million GP. But another clan member did tell me a very clever use for this item, which I'll come back to later on. The price of these are actually selling between 350 and 500,000 on the GE currently, so I actually made just over 3 million in 1 hour, which actually is still a very good money maker, but well, there is one other issue. Ancient ceremonial robes used to have a purpose, and that was that they allowed you to skip the kill count for next. That made them a complete must-have for anyone wanting to take on the boss, and anyone who likes killing bosses would have a set banked. That created a demand for tens of thousands of these sets, however they didn't want to avoid the kill count at next, which is fine, but the robes now have no purpose except a cosmetic one. Their stats are the same as Monk's Robes, simply offering a prayer bonus that isn't even the best in the game. To add to this, the ecumenical keys may not even be the best way anymore. If you get yourself a high kill count before starting next, you can then use the altar inside to teleport out to this door, bang, and completely restock, go again and kill next once more without having to get another kill count. Also, the minions in the boss room can also drop these robes. This means that hundreds of these things are going to enter the game every day, and once the novelty has worn off in a few weeks or months, they will only be worth their ALK price. So this moneymaker is well worth doing for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, but unless Jagex buff the blood essence or the gear, which I really think they should, it will sadly go down to about 1 to 1.5 million per hour very soon. However, there is at least one good use for these items, which will keep the price reasonably high for a while, and give this moneymaker a few weeks to be profitable, and that is death. That's right, he gets a bad rep sometimes, but he will actually put almost 2 million GP into the coffer for you in exchange for one blood essence that costs you 350 to 500k. You see, he isn't all bad, he's just misunderstood.